Fans, welcome back. Congratulations on watching the most exciting game of Sunday Night Fights Season 4. Just to let everybody know, I did have a cardiac arrest during that game, and I had to use a defibrillator. Actually, one of General Hell's monkeys came out and used a defibrillator on me and shocked me back to life, because I don't think my poor heart could not take all of the action in that game. Razor, it sounded like Ami was almost out of breath. I was out of breath just watching it. Seeing that action in the center with the King Tiger going down was probably my favorite moment of the entire season so far, and we have had some great games. Game number 2 now, just starting on Semwa. Same map, factions now reversed. DevM is going to be playing for the Americans in the west, and Fir3ball is going to take on the German army in the east. Any predictions on action here as we get into Game 2, Razor?
Well, yeah, last game, amazing game. Great ebb and flow, could have gone either way. Really, really intense, exciting game. But what I was saying about that game was aggressive US play. And you want to talk about someone that's got aggressive US play? DevM's got aggressive US play. This guy is like the master of aggressive US play. His early game is devastating. So I'm hoping to see a really, aggressive moves in the first sort of 7-ish minutes, and really trying to take it to the Wehrmacht rather than the slightly more passive early game we had last time.
Well, we have seen DevM drop the sledgehammer, like you said, in the first 6 to 8 minutes with his American play, and great rifle flanking. If he double builds his rifles in the beginning, we may see a knockout, a very quick knockout blow, or it's going to be another grudge match. We just really don't know. These two players are so amazing. So if NTD can show us the game map, I'd like to get the game started. Now, are you going to follow Fir3ball with his Wehrmacht?
I'll be following Fir3ball's Axis play.
Very good. Then I will take on DevM with his Americans, and if NTD is ready, I'd like to get this game started. All right, let's count us in here. I am ready at 5 seconds, so I will count us down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start. The clock is ticking at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we are not going to be seeing double rifles from DevM at all. As a matter of fact, we're going to be seeing 4 engineers to start here on Semwa. It's a rather interesting start for this map, don't you think, Razor?
Did you say 4? I've seen I know he does the 3 engine. I've seen Armstrong's 3. You say he's going 4?
Yeah, I mean, he starts with his original, and he's built 3 now. This is going to be the 3rd one coming out, and there'll be a 4th after that. No barracks in sight right now.
He might be being a bit tricksy here. This might be the 4 engineer into sniper build that Marina's popularized.
Well, it's not going to be a sniper because he's using his 3rd engineer to build a barracks. So we're going to have 4 engineers and a barracks with really no riflemen for at least another minute. So this is going to be a giant capping fest here, I guess, in the first part of this game number 2 on Semwa. What's coming out of the Axis base?
Yeah, we have a Volksgrenadier, completely standard opening so far from Fir3ball, but this is shocking from DevM. The guy is well known for his Jeep, his rifle flanks, his aggressive early game. What's he doing building 4 engineers? I have no idea what his plan is here. He's going to obviously upgrade them with flamers and trying to make aggressive moves like that, but he can't put on any aggression for the next 3 or 4 minutes, really, because he's going to need to wait for some flamers. He's never going to have parity in terms of Volks to riflemen.
Well, I agree, and it's strange. Where is he going to spend all of his munitions? If he's going to go your way, like you said, with a bunch of flamers, like we saw. I was going to say he could go with mines, like we saw with the first game, but we won't see any flamers, so he can't have both. I mean, there is a lot of munitions on Semwa, but not enough to support an enormous amount of munitions on the field, as in combining both flamers and munitions for 4 engineers. And I don't really see it as a strategy to use engineers to lay mines, because he could just go with infantry company and have his rifles do it, which I would think you would agree is actually a better way to lay mines, is to lay them with your rifles so that they can get the vet when Volksgrenadiers step on them and blow up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm thinking perhaps that he's building the 4 engineers And it is very strange to see this for everyone watching it, especially from DevM. I'm thinking perhaps it's because he knows Fireball does such a long tier 1 with Vermac. I've seen Fireball go to sort of like, 7 or even 8 tier 1 units as Vermac and just try and completely dominate the US and never let them get the tech that might cripple an extended tier 1. So I'm thinking maybe he's just planning on going into that sort of 3 rifles from this and just having an enormous tier 1 himself.
It could be, or he's just going to swamp Fireball with flamers. Maybe he's just expecting, like you said, that enormous tier 1, and he wants to flank MGs and Volks to high heaven with flamers everywhere. But he's spending his first munitions on mines right outside the center victory point. So, he's quite distant from any flamer action at this point.
Yeah, it's an odd place to place the mine as well. There's a lovely little engagement going on in the bottom, by the way. They were sort of jumping into the houses next to each other and juking around and just wasting a bit of time. But that mine's kind of weird, because I don't think that Fireball cares about the middle at this stage. I think he's going to try and secure the south, secure his fuel and maybe the munitions near it, and make a more gradual approach to this game.
Well, map control is falling nicely for DevM, and when you have 4 engineers on the field, map control should be in your favor very quickly in the beginning of the game. Fireball, of course, keeping his Volksgrenadiers together, which is the right thing to do early game, just as DevM did when he played the Wehrmacht last game. Now we're seeing engagements here, 2 rifles and 2 Volks. One set of rifles obviously behind the hedgerow is protected. This other rifle squad that's in this stone house, it has great viz across the whole battlefield. It's a critical home there to garrison. It's also a stone house, so it's got a lot of hit points. But only one window out the side, actually making 2 windows there at the side. And now we've got both riflemen in both of those houses just hanging out having a tea party. Keeping your units in a building for an extended amount of time, especially when they're rifle squads, kind of reduces their utility unless you're really doing it for viz. Now here we go. Here's a true engagement going on here. Volksgrenadiers moving up to engage these rifles in yellow cover. The rifles there do have the advantage in that house because they're so well protected. Now we also got Volksgrenadiers building some green cover of their own. The riflemen decide this is not where I want to be. Let's get the heck out of this house.
Yeah, this is, DevM is stalling him at the moment. He's not making any, as I was hoping for, sort of incisive flanks and aggressive moves, but he's stalling him out a lot. He's containing him very well. And I assume that this is going to be into a fast vehicle tech. That must be... He was trying to stall him because he knows that Fireball wants to go extended tier 1 and just slowly work him back towards his own base and make it impossible to attack. So he's saying, I'm not going to attack you and give you the chance to counter. I'm just going to hold you where you are until I have the vehicle.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that DevM just went on a giant resource grab, and that was his tactic by using 4 engineers very quickly, was to grab as many resources as possible to put up that supply yard here at 5 minutes and 46 seconds. And he also does have enough manpower and fuel right now to put up a motor pool, which he is now building at exactly 6 minutes. So we will obviously see a fast M8 here to try and counter that inevitable Fireball extended tier 1. Now more engagements here by the hay bales up in the north. We got Volksgrenadiers being swamped by American forces now. They're going to try and soft pedal their way back into this waiting arms of an MG42, but I don't think that MG42 is going to be able to save them in time. Those Volksgrenadiers have to retreat, and you know what? This rifle squad is going to be able to sneak up around the backside of that hedgerow and maybe try and flank that unsuspecting MG. Nope, you know what? Fireball sees it, and he's now turning that MG42 to engage these rifles. They're about to walk head first into 1,600 rounds per minute and one of the fastest firing machine guns of World War II. They're suppressed and crawl back to safety into and behind that hedgerow. Nope, more Volksgrenadiers. Not going to let them go away too quickly. These understrength riflemen are going to engage these Volksgrenadiers at medium range, but I think the Volksgrenadiers have obviously got this match. I think DevM's just going to be losing manpower here. Here come the flamers now to back up their riflemen brethren. Volksgrenadiers now caught between a rock and a hard place. Are they going to stick around? Where's that MG42 support?
It's flanked. It was flanked from the road, but the engineers are forced off. I think these Volks are going to be forced off as well by the second rifle squad coming in. It's a bit of a dance back and forth here, but again, DevM's doing the contain, and that's all he wants to do. I imagine the M8's building right now.
That's right, and M8 is going to be out in about 10 seconds or less. He used all of his fuel and most of his manpower to make that happen. going back up to the north here. This back and forth around this northern munition point continues. Now Volks Grenadiers, under the healing aura of their med packs, are still trying to engage riflemen, this time at extremely close range. It's going to be a grudge match to these last two guys here, a knife fight, face first. Which one of these squads here, this teensy tiny little battle that's going up here in the north, you know what, DevM might lose this rifle squad if he's not careful. Although Fir3ball, now it's one guy versus one guy up there. Oh, it looks like the Americans blinked first, and DevM retreats his rifle.
Yeah, M8 out on the field. Like I said last game, 8 minutes is a good time for an M8 rush, and it comes out just at 8 minutes, so that's pretty much spot on what you'd expect. But Tier 2 is up. So there's going to be a pack out in maybe he's got about a minute and a half of completely free reign on the battlefield. I don't know if he's going to go for a base rush. I'd be very surprised. Fear of mine.
Well, I don't know about a base rush.
They've both gone for an M8 early. Which is unusual to say the least. You know, we've seen a lot of early weapon support center play. We see grenades. We see rush to tank depot. The M8's kind of fallen out of favour, so it's really interesting to see both these players go M8 in the first two games, especially on a map like this where mines are so prevalent.
Well, we saw amazing M8 usage from Fir3ball in the last game, and you know what? So far, this M8 for DevM has been doing damage. I'd say it's getting medium value for its shock power right now. Now we're starting to see some real engagements here. Now with this M8 being backed up with American rifle support, chasing this MG42 right off the field. I'd like to see that M8 keep going, but you know what? DevM is smarter than that. He knows there's probably a pack somewhere on the field. I'm thinking it probably just got made. Yeah, it's coming out of the Axis base right now. So this M8's shock value golden window of opportunity is going to be coming to a close. Still a useful unit, but it's just not going to be the king of the field anymore.
Yeah, you can see a really nice little neat thing that is going on here from Fir3ball, is that these Pioneers capping up in the north on the VP and ammunitions, he really needs to retreat that one, but most players would go, oh god, there's an M8, I need to get off the field. What he said was, I'm going to go and cap something so far away that the M8 will respond to it and give me more time to get my pack into position, give me more time to get mines down, more time to get some munitions for Faust. And he'd lost a Pioneer squad short, that's annoying, it's because he retreated it late. The other one got out just fine, and it delayed the M8's impact. And that's what you need to do against impact units.
Well, you know what? We've talked about this on Sunday Night Fights before, is that, there are three primary resources in Company of Heroes. That's manpower, munitions, and fuel. There's a fourth elusive resource, and that's time. If you can tie up your opponent's resources or force him to go somewhere and positionally be out of place, that time allows you to place your army into a better position. And that's exactly, what Fir3ball did here. Is he used those Pioneers to buy himself some more time. Because Company of Heroes is such a positional game. I mean, the maps are so critical, and positioning units is so critical that, moving your units not only onto the field but in the right place on the field can win or lose you the engagement. So we continue to see, speaking of engagements, action here in the center. We got MG42s firing away at rifles here in the stone house. This house is a weird anomaly on this map. It's got that giant hole on the side, on the south side, but you can't fire out of it, which is really weird, unless you blow a hole in that side of the wall, and then you can fire out of it.
Yeah, that house is, he's just using it to draw fire, I think, yeah. Okay, he's flanking with the minesweep, but it's not the strongest flanking unit in the world, but there's the positioning, as you say, has been key. The positioning of the pack at the moment is god-awful. It's pretty much facing that house. The M8 can come from either side and only take a single shot and flank it, so he needs to move that pack. And, DevM's entirely aware of the positioning of that pack as well. And DevM's doing a really nice job bringing all of his units in at the same time. He knows that the pack has moved back because his engineers are scouting, giving line of sight, so he can move his M8 up a bit. Then he's concerned that maybe it's setting up again, moves it back. Just great timing from DevM.
Yeah, and you know what? Boy, that MG42 was going to hold off the entire American army there. And now here's this pack finally in position. If it can just get a shot off on this M8, this M8 is hiding behind this little shack, so the Pack 38 cannot get a shot in. but it looks like now we're at a stalemate here as this M8 just waits. I'm sure that DevM saw that pack fire back there, so he doesn't want to move out and about from and engage that without any sort of rifle support right now. There is no American infantry on the field to back up that M8, and that puts the American player in a very dangerous position. You know, M8s are best used when supported, unless they're really engaging the fringe aspects of the Wehrmacht army, you know, like we saw, you know, destroying Pioneer squads in the upper north or something like that.
Yeah, there's a massively greedy play going on from Fireball right now. He's teched tier 3 and he's trying to build a Sturm armory. This is going to backfire on him. I'm calling it right now. This is a really greedy play because he has very little map control. He's having to use 2 quite expensive, you know, tier 1 squads up the top, and Volkswagen is supported by an MG just to take 1 point at a time very slowly because of the pressure that DevM's put on. He only has this pack at this stage. He doesn't have map control, so DevM's fairly sure there aren't mines around, and he's trying to take to tier 3. I think Fireball's feeling under pressure here. I really do. I think he thinks he needs to do something a bit risky.
Well, you know what? Tier 3, you know, with not a lot of fuel, like you said, is risky, especially when you've got, you know, for DevM's American, you know, he's got 6 infantry units on the field. That's 3 engineers and 3 rifles, and that M8. So he's extremely mobile right now. You know, he can be in a lot of places at once, and map control shows it right now. Map control is again falling towards DevM as he recaps this northern part of the map. And this M8, I like it. It keeps moving around, even though it's already been on the field for about 6 or 7 minutes. It's still moving around, and you know, really keeping Fireball off base as to where it's going to show up at any given moment. So that pack, you know, can't be everywhere at once. So DevM can only really successfully defend one part of the map at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's buzzing around, just doing chip damage here and there. That's a really nice play. We also have a weapon support center up from DevM, and he's got the bars out. And this is what I was talking about last game. He's done almost exactly the same build. I think, in fact, exactly the same build that Fireball did when factions were reversed. But he's done it slightly crisper, slightly quicker. And his contain on the Wehrmacht forces has been absolutely fantastic. I think DevM was perhaps even scared of Fireball's tier 1 Wehrmacht, so didn't engage it. He didn't say, I'm going to try and beat you in tier 1. He said, I'm going to keep your tier 1 here, I'm going to tech, and then I'm going to hit you.
That's brilliant metagame strategy. If that truly is what he was thinking, I got to give him a great credit for coming up with that and keeping his head on his shoulders to engage that strategy. Now we're seeing a sniper now for DevM on the field. There's no sniper for Fireball that I saw yet, so this sniper is going to start clicking away right now probably against these Grenadiers, which are high-value units. You can really bet up an American sniper if you take a lot of Grenadier lives. And with just now 3 men in the squad, they're going to sort of backpedal a little bit towards more green cover. Where's this M8? I think it's doing damage somewhere. Or is it the Puma that I'm hearing? Ah, yes, there is now a Puma on the field. Yeah, the Puma is now engaging these rifles, forcing them off the field at this point. But back here in the center, there is still some more combat going on here. You know, rifles trying to engage these Grenadiers, but the sniper floating around in the center is really going to prevent Fireball from engaging anybody there until he gets a sniper of his own.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult. I mean, Fireball's not a player that favours the Wehrmacht sniper. He prefers lots and lots of units, the extended tier 1 sort of play. And if you notice, he's got an MG sitting covering his fuel. And he has no map control. What's that MG? What purpose does that serve? You have a Puma that can respond. If that gets taken, you need to have that MG involved. You need to be starting taking back some map, Fireball. You really do, because you're under the cosh. And he's, I mean, it's not the same as the last game where the Wehrmacht had really good VP control. He doesn't. He hasn't had good VP control this game. He's in trouble, I think.
Well, yeah, I think that MG covering that fuel is a move out of desperation. That's basically his lifeline for any more tier 3 units. If he loses it, even for just a few minutes, he's sunk. So he's forced to put what should be a frontline unit back in the back of his territory, guarding his last, you know, hope of any sort of fuel for the field. You know, this Stug, I don't know if that was the right choice here to put a Stug onto the field at this point. Maybe another Puma would have been better, because you know what? I'm really liking the way DevM is using these rifles to just be everywhere at once. And I think that Fireball needs to think of something really quick to counter this problem of so many, you know, American units doing their job on the field. And like you said also before, his Tier 1, Fir3ball's extended Tier 1 is what he is known for. But instead, for some reason, he's decided to switch gears and invest in Tier 3 instead. So he's really doing neither very well, and this is going to be a problem for him.
Yeah, the Stug I think was a good choice. I really do. I think the Stug was a good choice. It's a strong unit. It can go up front. It doesn't do a huge amount of damage, but it can force the M8 off, give you some room to work. But DevM had already started building an AT gun. DevM was obviously predicted that perfectly. Already started building an AT gun. Already had the AT gun out at the same time the Stug came out. So now the Stug has absolutely no role. It doesn't have anything to do. And as I say, the Tier 3 hasn't really had that much impact. All it's done is freed up the small area outside his base in the south here. For him to cap, but he's gonna not be able to break into the center. I guess he's gonna now hope for the counter snipe as the snipers approach each other quite close in the center here. But
well, you know, every time that Fir3ball tries to build up some part of his army, DevM is right there with a better version of something to counter it, and in this case, it's now artillery. This howitzer is going to make it even harder for Fir3ball to sort of gather his resources, gather the storm together to engage Americans. And the Puma! The Puma also went down to artillery fire. I believe it was off-map artillery. I didn't see the sniper go down. Was it in that same blast right next to the Puma?
It was exactly. I think the corpse is underneath the Puma. It was honestly. It was. He brought in on-map artillery onto that house which has collapsed. Then he dropped off-map artillery onto where the sniper was sort of retreating, and he had his sniper ready to counter-snipe. He didn't manage to get the counter-snipe off, but he got it with the artillery anyway. It's just he's hitting every cylinder at once. It's such good play from DevM. Such crisp, perfect micromanagement. Like his sniper's taking out the pack now. It's this is sublime US play.
Yeah, and you know what, here we go, we got these rifles that are right in a great position to engage that pack. They're going to engage that pack first, and also throw a sticky bomb on that Stug. Boy, this Stug is big trouble. These rifles are going to be heroes right here, and they're in great position to do so much damage. They can engage that pack, and they can engage the MG42, which is the better target to fire at this point. I'm not even sure that MG42 has got to pack up and leave. Americans looking very good with flamers too, engaging these understrength Volksgrenadiers. Boy, these flamers are really doing the job now. This investment in engineers from the early part of the game is paying off. 3 flamers, and down goes the Stug to another sticky, I think that was. Extra vet for the rifles, and boy, a huge retreat, and a big explosion from all of that artillery throws in the towel for Fir3ball, and DevM ties it up 1-1 on Semwa. Wow, that was amazing. NTD, please roll that video. Allies wins for the 2nd time in our finals matchup of Sunday Night Fights Season 4. We will be back right after this.